Like to call to order the December meeting of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation. Thank you everyone for coming out this morning. Happy holidays. You've got in front of you the minutes for the November 16th annual meeting and the regular meeting. Can we consider those together or should we do them separately?
They can be together.
Okay, so whenever anyone's ready.
Motion.
Thank you, Susan. Right, any questions, comments, bad jokes? That was supposed to be fun. All in favor?
No, that was a bad joke.
It's a bad joke.
Aye.
Thanks very much. Okay. Thank you. Rachel, the floor is yours.
Okay, so we have the November treasurer's report. We'll start on page 4 for the restricted account. The end of month balance in restricted was $562,628.50.
And we're expecting loans to come out of this in the new year, right?
Yes, so the two loans will come out of here in the new year. The loan that we have already approved for Claw, and the one that we just recently approved for at least Willerton, which is the Puerto Rico. So on the next page, which is the receivables page, nothing new, everybody going right along. On the next page for the UDAG account, the end of month balance in UDAG was $681,513.73. And there will be one loan coming out of UDAG, that will be L2. They have also asked to put off their credit until February because it's a construction loan and they're not going to be doing any construction until the spring. So on page 7, that is the receivables page. Everyone who has been paying continues to pay. Everyone who has been in default continues to be in default, so no changes there. There is not a lot of activity in the unrestricted account. We have our admin fee for the SUNY Broom EAP contract that came in November. And a few marketing expenses. On the next page for the Triad account. Have the pass through, so the money that came into the Triad account went back out to SUNY Broom, and then our admin fee to us for administrative event. In the veterans account, the money for the MudCat grant was moved into the veterans account, so it can be used for veteran related activities. And in the grant account, there was no activity other than moving the MudCat money over to the veterans account.
The only thing I'll flag on that is that this was our, we have New York Main Street money in here. And we are replacing some of the elements of that failed over the last couple of years. We're required to maintain the elements from the New York Main Street. So the bike repair stations that are over there were needed to be replaced. So that's like $1,200 expense you see in there.
So on the final page, we have the delinquent accounts. All of the delinquent accounts continue to be delinquent. So at the end of November, the delinquency percentage of all loans designated as non-performing was 0.49.
Any questions for Rachel?
I just, forgive me for asking, because I'm sure I knew the answer to the argument. You have here like, the Council of Churches, which I understand is the project. But the project's been long done.
Yeah, we're working on figuring that out. So that was supposed to be reimbursed by a state grant. So we're working with New York State Senate on figuring out what's going to happen with that.
Well, so we had no real plan
The plan
before,
was,
because this was previous administration.
right. The plan was for the state to pay that money back to the Council of Churches that was owed to them through a grant. And there's some issues with that. So we're resolving that with the state Senate right now.
Okay, and with the Garland,
Mhm.
which is, I assume is Sherry.
Yep.
This is for her project.
She's just not paying because she's only paying during the seasons when they're doing the work. Is that what's happening?
Yes, and I think that there were some delays with finishing up what he had said he would finish up in the fall, but I will check in with her and make sure that there's a plan for
Well,
making.
but you notice in your lease, which we'll get to with Bob's cause, anything. With either of these proposals you have, they have to pay for the stuff and
Right.
get reimbursed when they submit.
Correct.
Why are we not doing that?
For the loan.
Well, Sherry, which she pays for it, then we'll reimburse her. Instead of us, we have the money out for her, right?
Right. Yeah,
And she's not using it, but the money she's got, right?
So it is some of it. It is a reimbursement grant, but the project was being done in like three phases. So she paid, I believe, phase 1 and phase 2 and was reimbursed for those, and she'll begin paying on the loan once she pays the contractor for phase 3. And we reimburse that. That'll be, the total of her loan will be out to her, and then she'll start repaying.
So having had some of the work done already, she hasn't paid anything.
Correct.
Is that right?
Well, she's paid, the contractor, but she has not paid any of
The loan back.
loan repayment, no.
but that was part of the plan.
Yeah, that's how the facade loans work.
Oh, okay. Okay, just,
But we can certainly, I mean, if we make new ones, we can certainly look at whether that's the best thing to do, but that's how this particular one was structured when we put it out.
okay, just, those are things in the past that have.
Yeah, come back
Like
to,
Tom Haynes, same thing, he wasn't paying us back because he hadn't completed it, we'll complete it.
yeah, yeah. And now Tom's in with the check, what, every month?
Oh, no, Tom's great, it's
Okay,
just,
oh, yeah,
if nobody's knocking on your door, why answer it?
yeah, no, and I know we've talked about this before, those delinquent loans, hiring someone to work on that. And that's certainly on the radar. We're going through some transitions in internal corp counsel right now. So once that gets resolved in the new year, we should be able to refocus on that, but
Yeah, 'cause
I agree with you.
we're a better deal than they would get anywhere else with them.
Yes, especially now.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
to
no,
bring that
don't
up.
apologize. It's a good, we need to be collecting on the loans that are owed to us. So, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, can I expound on what Ron said a little bit? Okay, totally different, not related to this. One of the things that we have is all the money's invested in Chase. Okay, with interest rates the way they are right now, we can move this, and Susan knows what I'm talking about. If we can set up other bank accounts, I'm not saying to do that now, if we moved it to like NICLAS instead of Chase or to type of state banks and some of the options they have, we could get 5% rather than us getting probably less than 1% right now on money. Okay, so if you have.
And do it with a locally invested institution.
Yes, yeah,
I'm all for that.
and Chase is.
All in
local, if you wanna
favor, say
so.
aye.
They're not local. No, they're
No,
not.
they're a
They,
storefront.
they got a storefront now, yes, but I'm saying right now that they don't have the same options that Susan's company does, or say Shamong to us, okay? Where we could get a 5% interest rate compared to getting 0.8% or something.
And
like that.
somebody you can talk to all the time. That's all.
Jamie Dimon doesn't live on the west side.
West
Jamie Dimon.
side of New
From
York, but probably east.
JP Morgan.
Well, no,
Yeah.
I've always wondered
my
why we
34
were
years.
using
Yeah.
Chase. I mean, there must be a business philosophy reason, but.
Yeah.
You know, we always have a good bank person on our board,
Mhm.
and given the
Great bank.
opportunity.
Well, the other part too is that the flexibility of local or state chartered banks, I mean, it's just a lot more. I mean, they've been at the table with our business plan competitions, they've been at the table with, again, serving on boards, so it is important.
And promoting everything in this community that's right,
Sponsoring, yeah.
you know, stadiums, arenas.
And I'm not asking to do it today, I'm just saying, as you were talking about, that's the cost of money
Yeah.
entered my mind, and I know that we have all this invested just in Chase, and I don't think that we have any other authority. Meaning
For the
that to invest
BLDC,
it, yeah.
Yeah,
as a
as far as depositories.
Yeah.
So what that would require, if you decide to do so, would be to add depositories. And I don't know, does this board really have a reorganization meeting? I mean, we could do that at any time. Typically, that
It's
is
part of the
done.
finance.
Correct. I mean, typically that would be done at the annual meeting, but you can do it at any time.
Okay. Yeah, and I think we can talk about that when we get into the phosphate conversation as well, because that money for that project is gonna have to be
Needs to-
held somewhere.
It needs to roll.
And it
You
doesn't-
need a capital project account
Right, and
to,
it-
to run that through.
Certainly does not need to be in the account we use for other purposes we could have. a separate account for that.
Yeah, good, so we're opening this discussion. I think
Absolutely,
it'll be
yeah.
very beneficial going forward.
So I guess we'll put that on the
Thank you,
agenda for
Chuck, as
the
always.
finance committee.
Thank you,
for
Jerry.
Yes,
for
The next
everything.
vision, we can make a
Say we
recommendation
did.
to the board.
Right.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Oh, good.
Thanks, Rob.
No, I mean, time to tweak, New Year coming.
Well, I
Tweaks.
Well, yeah, with interest rates up and things and it's a
Did
different
you
world.
hear
out there.
yesterday?
Fed's gonna cut them.
It's still,
Today,
they'll still be high.
Allegedly, the Fed is gonna cut the rate today.
No,
Market's gonna do
they
the same.
kept.
Next
they
year.
kept
Did
them
they
the
keep them
same,
this morning?
Next year.
And then they
I got
said,
like old yesterday's news.
You
I
did.
thought it was on the New York
Gotta
Times
get
this morning. It's
Well,
unbelievable.
good thing you don't get depressed. It's 3 days old news. You know who won the
No
football
com-
games
no
on
comment on
Saturday.
that.
but in regard to that, yes, I mean, this is the peak of the high rate right now. But it's not gonna go down that fast, and so there's definitely opportunity for investment.
Goes up faster than it goes down.
Banks are like that, isn't that terrible?
Good stuff.
Thank you, Rachel, as always.
Okay, moving on. There's no old business this morning. There's 3 resolutions and new business. The first one, 24-6, resolution of the Binghamton Local Development Corporation, authorizing the president to enter into a real estate option agreement with Pure Beauty New York LLC for a portion of parcels 4, 5, and 6 in the Charles Street Business Park.
So the Strategic Priorities Committee heard a presentation from Pure Beauty New York and their consultant, who is Cassetter Cannabis, Kaylin Cassetter, who some of you know, and is from Binghamton. So it's a cannabis company based out of California. They are a medical cannabis company, not a recreational. So the problem with the option agreement we executed with Easy last year was that the regulatory environment for recreational cannabis just was not there. The process was not moving very quickly, and they just couldn't get their approvals from New York State. New York State has created kind of an expedited medical licensing process that is supposed to be decided in the early spring, Q1, early Q2. And so that is what Pure Beauty New York is going after, is putting a medical facility in the state. The idea is that they'll get these medical facilities up and running, and then when the regulatory environment gets better, when New York State is able to resolve some of the court conflicts they're currently in, that those facilities will be able to move into the recreational space. But this is kind of how New York State is managing their current issues. So I think the Strategic Priorities Committee was happy with the presentation. I don't know if anybody who was at that meeting wants to speak to anything they heard, but
I would just say that I'm very impressed with Pure Beauty. They have 66 million in revenue, and very committed to the space in New York because they know that, that's the next market outside of California. And, Kaylin deserves kudos for continuing to bring us opportunities in the cannabis space. And, I think the idea here is that it's just an option for them, and that they need that for the application, and they've gone so far as to do the drawing. It's 100,000 square feet. So if it does come to fruition, it would be very beneficial for the city and BLDC.
it's 150 jobs. A lot of those are entry level. They pay between $20 and $30 an hour. So it really fits into our vision for Clinton Street, with having folks who are able to walk to work and take public transit to the Charles Street Business Park. They are asking for 6.5 acres. The full 4, 5, and 6 is 8.237 acres. There'll be that balance will be on the south side of the parcel, adjacent to 22 Charles Street, which is the cogeneration plant, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So there'll be some space still left on that, but this just enables them to take from north to south about 6.5 acres. It's a 6-month option with a 6-month renewal, different than our usual 12-month, because they expect to have an answer in the next 6 months and be able to either move forward, or will know that they're not moving forward.
I did check out the money behind them. They're serious people.
Mhm.
Yes.
They have strong financials, and they've done this before. And that gave me a level of comfort that this isn't their first project.
Yeah. I think if this happens, this would be really, really great for Binghamton, for the first ward, for the Charles Street Business Park.
I think the other part of it too, from a BLDC kind of risk, we don't want to tie up properties all the time, but there's a discrete timeline on their application
Mhm.
and
Yes.
an announcement by the state. So this is not a indefinite sort of time frame where they get the option approved, they apply, we hear back whether their application is approved. So it gives the BLDC a lot of clarity. And I think that from all of what the state's looking for with cannabis, this should check off all their boxes. I can't think of one that it wouldn't be checked off.
Any other questions on this one?
Oh, just one second, do we own the property or does the IDA own it and we're selling it for them?
So we own it, but we have not paid the IDA for the land yet. So as we sell the land, then we pay the IDA. Yeah.
We get to keep some for the city?
Yes, yeah, so the parcels are from the IDA, $30,000 an acre. We are optioning them at $35,000 an acre, plus whatever we get, if an option doesn't.
So
move
we get
forward.
25,000 plus. We get the benefit of the taxes.
Right. Right, yeah, so we do own it, but we haven't
That's fine.
paid for the property yet. No, it's a good.
At least we're in control of what
clarification.
goes there.
Yes,
Mhm.
yep. And legally, we have title to it, we just haven't paid for it yet.
See how long you can let the IDA go without having to pay them back.
Forever. Is there a motion?
Oh, yeah, I move, sure.
Thank you, Ron. Do we have a second?
I can.
Thank you, Chuck. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That option is approved. Thank you all. I think this is a really cool opportunity for the first ward.
Can you read the next two together because they're related?
Sure. The next two, 24/7 is a resolution authorizing the president to sign a non-binding letter of intent regarding the lease of 11 Court Street to Boscoff's Department Store. And 24-8 authorizes the president to enter into an agreement with the city of Binghamton for acceptance of American Rescue Plan Act ARPA funds related to the rehabilitation of same address.
I can cover this, but Mayor, do you want to?
Yeah, and we've gone over this, sometimes at the, I'm just looking at the second. Hold on a second. We've gone over the challenge that the Boscov's building presents to the BLDC, the fact that it's owned by us, ultimately, and if Boscov's were to ever leave, we'd have a 250,000 square foot building that doesn't have a, modern elevator, electrical systems, HVAC, plumbing, etc. So this is a very unique concept. It's Binghamton's one of a few downtowns in America that has a downtown department store. So what we worked at, really since day one of me taking office was a plan that could facilitate the improvements in the building, which is publicly owned, which would have to come no matter if Boscov's stayed or left. And also get Boscov's to commit to downtown in the long term. And that's what we've been able to do. A coalition of myself, the county executive, Assemblywoman Lepardo, brought together grant funding from our respective areas of expertise. And in addition, Boscov's is putting in 1.5 million for equipment, fixtures, and other improvements into the store. So really with the 150 jobs that they have, the roughly $1 million in sales tax revenue they generate for the county and the city every year, our investment will pay back dividends for sure. And it also solves this issue that's been hanging over the BLDC and really the city for, 20 years or so, where no maintenance was being done on the building. There was no capital money able to fix all of that maintenance that has been put off. And we were just in this limbo. And we're now going to be out of that limbo. We're going to get upgrades done in the store, keep Boscov's around, keep the jobs, keep generating sales tax revenue, hundreds of thousands of visitors that Boscov's generates on an annual basis that provide ancillary economic development for retail stores and restaurants. So we're not going to have to face that problem of having a vacant 250,000 square foot building that we all in this room collectively own, right? So it was a huge win. I know when Jim Boscov was in town, I had a great conversation with him about the future of the store in Binghamton. I also think too that it represents a great future for downtown that one of the, I think it's the largest family-owned department store in America is choosing to make an investment in their time and their resources into downtown Binghamton. That says a lot about what the future looks like, what the next 5-10 years look like. And I think can give other investors and entrepreneurs a lot of confidence in investing in our city and specifically in downtown. You know, it's more than just the jobs. It is the symbol that, you know, it's a large company that does a lot of business and they are choosing to go a lot of different places, but they're choosing to stay in downtown. So that's the arguments behind it. We had a really good conversation with city council when we presented it, and we look forward to signing on the dotted line and, you know, probably right after the first of the year, have people get involved with making these investments and making this work happen. The other thing we're going to ensure is that from just a standpoint of how the work is being done, that Boscov's is working with local firms, they're working with local labor. We wanted to make sure that we made those connections as well. So the money that's being put into this stays in the city of Binghamton as much as humanly possible. And they're on board with that too. So.
Yeah, and just for the kind of nuts and bolts of this, so what you're approving today is the letter of intent. So that outlines the details of what will ultimately be in the lease. This body will accept, hopefully accept that lease in 2024. But we had to have some framework of a deal so that we could announce this publicly, which enabled us to move forward with all of this grant funding. We're working with the state of New York right now to finalize the details of Assembly Woman Lepardo's money and getting all those contracts ready. But all these things kind of have to happen in parallel. So that's why you saw the announcement and the letter of intent before the lease. It's just that we had to make certain things public so we could move forward with some of the logistical aspects. Exactly to your point, Ron, about ownership. So technically, if you look up this property right now, it is owned by the IDA. The BLDC has a reversionary interest in the property, which basically means that the IDA can give it to us at any time, essentially. So we are working with them right now to revert that ownership to the BLDC legally. It's our property. We're the ones who have been engaging directly with Boscov's. The IDA has been on board with everything that we're doing. So we'll move forward with that actual formal transfer, just legally for the paperwork's sake. That will enable us to enter into the lease agreement that's being worked on by our lawyers right now. The framework of the deal is in the LOI, but we'll be adding kind of all of the legalese that goes in it. It kind of outlines the history of the ownership. And we'll also include ideally some details either in the lease or in an appendix on how they're supposed to be managing these grant funds. So that's what's happening behind the scenes right now and what you guys will see coming to you in the next few months.
The community outpour of thought is terrific.
Very positive.
I mean, Boscov's is gonna do some numbers.
I wish I had.
They're gonna want to say if they fall below 20.
Yeah, it's a good point, Ron. So one of the things that's in the lease is that they are paying us 1% of their total sales. So they have represented to us that they are doing about $15 million in sales. So it's about $150,000 a year. We're currently validating all of those numbers, but yeah, I mean, they do great business. It was very crowded in there the day we had the announcement. It's hard to get a parking spot around there. It's hard to get in there. You said that you waited about half an hour to check out the other day. It's very busy. A lot of activity there, and this will hopefully make it so it's a more comfortable shopping experience. It's not 100 degrees in the summer and 60 degrees in the winter.
I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
Because the people in this community, it's an easy place to shop.
Got everything you need.
Because, well, especially once we get the ramp, whatever. Yeah, I mean, I always enjoy going in there. I mean, there's junk, but you know, everybody needs junk in their house. I
No,
mean,
they
you know,
don't.
I mean, you gotta get a new curtain rod now and then,
Yes.
and they got tons of them.
I always
You know.
find
Oh,
my,
good,
my
thank you.
wrapping paper.
I need some.
Oh, I was gonna get you one for Hanukkah.
Oh.
But no, thank you for the work. I think it became more
Yes.
important than we even realized.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're very excited.
This is a big deal. Any other comments? All right, we'll take a motion, please.
Make a
We're
motion
doing two
on,
separate.
Oh, do them separate. Okay,
I'll
so
do
let's-
a motion on resolution 24-7.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Thank you, Susan. Any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I-
All right, thanks very much. And a motion on 24-8. Frank, thank you. Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Betsy.
And just a flag on that, so city council has not yet approved the ARPA money, but we're expecting, well, that will go for a vote at the end of the month. And so that's why, yeah. this month. Yeah,
It's Wednesday, yep.
yeah.
It's a week from yesterday, that's right.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to commend the team.
Yes.
This was a really, this was a tricky negotiation. It wasn't always. We weren't sure in a lot of cases where this was going, but the lining up of the partnership with the state and the county and your work behind the scenes with all the negotiations and the attorneys and all the nonsense, it was really good. So congratulations. This is the biggest development on Boscov's in the last 30 years, and it's great. It's great stuff. So. All right. Mr. Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you. And I'll just, continue off that. I mean, whether it was Chuck Shager, again, who, as part of this and figuring out the garage portion and sometimes almost daily calls with Boscov's folks on a litany of different things that may not be a part of the BLDC piece of this, but on the future of the garage and what's happening at the men's store and closing out that project. And, there's so many details and so many different challenges that Chuck has helped problem solve too. Obviously, Patrick was involved. I think he was on all of our Zoom calls and, playing part negotiator, part therapist to me, which is always good. Which is important on this. And then Sarah, just for behind the scenes, the actual in the Word document, getting things done, checking up with people, pushing this ball down the field. It was a great team effort. And as Patrick said, this is the most significant development really probably since the store was first opened in '84. So.
And your Tommy cutlets.
That's right. I hope so. I hope so. I just need an agent like he has. That's pretty good. The other just quick things. I think we discussed cannabis fully. Boscov's as they're closing out the year, we'll have some changes on the BLDC. We'll have 2 new council members being serving. So both Joe and Sophia will not be on the board. So I've had meetings with the incoming council members. I think they're still figuring out their own caucus. So I hope to have some direction, and I want whomever comes in to be coming in and being briefed and read into things and be able to hit the ground running, because I do think that's important, especially when we have things that need to go to city council, of having their buy-in in advance and can really speak to what the work we're doing. But look, the BLDC plays a leading role in economic development, and we are an active board. We are a board that is doing things. We're getting changes done. And whether it's what's happening at Charles Street Business Park with cannabis, what's happening with the downtown, growth that we're seeing and how we're supporting that, or with the, I'm hopeful a DRI for Clinton Street, we're going to be on the leading edge of this, and we're really excited about it. And I'm hopeful that the new members of city council who are on the board will come along for the ride. The other thing I want to mention is that Brian, this will be Brian's last meeting. He's transitioning to a great opportunity, and you can ask Brian about it at some point. But we thank him for his work over the last 2 years and filling into years before when things would come up with the BLDC. So just want to acknowledge that.
It's been a pleasure working with you all. I've enjoyed the time, even though those meetings are brief, because I think in many respects, the things that get done here, they really have the potential to change the face of the city of Binghamton. And that's not always true of all the work we do in our office. Some of it's just grind, regular run-of-the-mill stuff. This is where you sort of get to cast a vision going forward. So I appreciate this board's ability to do that. What?
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
Brian.
and good luck.
I don't have anything else.
Any questions for the mayor? Hope you get some sleep over the holidays, man.
Do you have to do some swearing in?
There'll be a swearing in for the new council members. I was told, January 1st at 11 a.m.
But you don't do that yourself.
I don't do the swearing in, no, but I will be in attendance and peaceful transition of everything, so it's good.
I'm gonna go to Battisti's party. That'll be a party.
Yeah, well, the first part of that's at the courthouse, so hopefully it stays not too rowdy at the courthouse. but
Oh, you know, Paul.
I know. I know. That's at 1 o'clock, so
Okay,
we've got time for it all.
the day moves on. The number's coming.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank
Sarah,
you
it's all
all.
yours.
Great job. Again, you're ending the year with 2 fabulous
Bang.
projects.
Okay.
Or 3, because we got other stuff that you're doing.
And just think of all the money we'll make on interest next year.
There you go, Betsy. I love
That is the easiest money around.
Thank you, Susan.
I have nothing to say. It'll be parsed out.
I'll keep things brief. The biggest update from us is that, city council did approve the sale of 22 Charles Street, the old cogeneration plant adjacent to the Charles Street Business Park, to this body. So at some point, you'll see a resolution, related to that. That will enable us to market the property in conjunction with the Charles Street Business Park. So those couple acres I talked about that are to the south of where Pure Beauty is looking to locate, those will likely be marketed with the cogeneration plant as a slightly larger parcel. That was a recommendation directly from the consultants that are working on the reuse analysis. We're really excited about it. I mean, clean environmentals, good structural report, regulated building materials report shows very little asbestos or any other materials that need to be remediated. The tanks that are on site are clean. We've had NICEAG looking at the transformer assets. Everything looks really good. The team at New York State is really pleased with everything that they've seen at the plant. They say it's one of the ones in the state they've actually been able to recommend being reused and not just demolished and scrapped. So we'll have more information on that to come in the new year. Ideally, it would have been done by the end of 2024, but they just, trying to pull everyone together and get everybody on site to look at things is taking a little bit longer. So we're looking at Q1 2024 for final reuse analysis. Per's not here today, but I've been working with him and Stacy Johnson and the New Energy New York folks on potentially positioning this as a project in the tech hubs application. So that's tens of millions of dollars available from the federal government to go to one of the 31 designated tech hubs, of which Binghamton is one of those. So we kind of have the building asset, and I've been working with them on figuring out what the programmatic aspect of that would be, what they're kind of looking for, what the needs are in the battery industry. Are we looking at a private sector company coming in? Are we looking at an accelerator type business? Are we looking at a pilot facility for battery testing? So that is all yet to come. But I think from the facility perspective, things are really solid. It's a great potential project, and we'll continue to work with them as they put together an application in the new year and hopefully get some federal money that can come and help us redevelop that plan and make it a value add in the first ward of the Charles Street Business Park. So very exciting stuff over there.
It might be helpful in the new year to see if Pear or someone from that team could come and make a brief presentation to this board.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
it'd be helpful to get everybody on the same page about what this could mean for the region.
Yeah, and there was a webinar yesterday where they went over some of that, about an hour and a half long. That so if you all want to sit through that, we
No,
can have that as a
thanks.
live.
It was the largest Zoom that's ever happened.
It was about 70
300
people. It was a
people
lot
on
of
this thing. It
people.
was crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
But I think there's a recording of that I can certainly circulate in your free time, maybe Christmas morning. You just pull up a nice webinar to watch. But absolutely, that's a great idea. But there's we'll have an abbreviated version of that.
A
Maybe
brief
for the board.
version, yeah.
Absolutely. The mayor briefly mentioned the DRI. We are hoping for an announcement before the end of the year. We'll see. Last year they said that, and it was more towards the January, February timeline, so it might
Okay.
be into 2024, but we're optimistic about our chances. I think it's a great proposal. Clinton Street really deserves that investment, and the first ward, I think, is really primed to be an economic engine, both in the city of Binghamton and for the region at large, and I'm optimistic the state will see it the same way as well. And then the final update is that our office will be adding a new position in the new year that was just posted, so if anybody has any people they want to throw that way, it's an economic development specialist position in business development. It'll be taking some of the work that is assigned to people that maybe shouldn't be doing everything all the time. It'll also be focusing on business relationships in downtown and more broadly. We're trying to have more of a high touch relationship. I think we've talked about the fact that we do a lot of people coming to us. We'd like to be doing more outreach, and it's just something we don't have capacity for right now. So excited to have somebody new in that position, and certainly willing to accept any referrals, any member of this body or anyone else wants to.
Not civil service.
It is, but it's, my understanding is that you can take the test after you're in the role, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a CSEA, I think, position.
You would be provisional until you test.
Cause that's always a. stumbling block.
Yeah, so that's ultimately the person would have to take the test, but they don't have to be on the list to apply.
Okay.
And then just finally, I just want to thank Joel and Rachel for all of their work this year. Rachel especially moved mountains with Chuck and the finance team on the audit this year and is now working on the annual report and getting some compliance things set up with the authority's budget office. So really appreciative for all of your work. And then Joel, as always, just kind of the rock that keeps things moving as I bounce around to everywhere in the world. So very appreciative of all of your work and looking forward to working with you guys again in 2024 and adding someone to the office who can help us. Maybe not be so crazy busy all the time.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
I get paid the mediocre bucks.
Thank you, Sarah, very much. Anything else for the good of the group this morning? All right,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you, Mayor. We are adjourned. Have a great holiday season. Happy New Year, and thank you for all you do for the BLDC and for the city of Binghamton.
Patrick.
Take care.